Hello everyone, Jules here. Today I'd like to talk about quite a unique book that isn't very well known, and it is about Kabbalah and angels. So it's about Kabbalah and angels in relation to Kabbalah. And the book is called The Kabbalah and Magic of Angels, and it is written by Migene González-Wippler. Here is the book. Sorry about the shiny cover. This was published by Llewellyn in 2013. I've had the book for quite a while, and I always remember when I first got this book that I was quite almost surprised about how well written this book is. It's very well written. It was written during the time when there were some really quite excellent authors that were still writing for Llewellyn at the time. So this is definitely one of the better, much better Llewellyn books. So I'm going to talk about what's in the book, and for people who are interested in Kabbalah and angels, and also wanting to understand the relationship between Kabbalah and angels. And the interesting thing about that is in Jewish Kabbalah, there is some relationship with that, with Kabbalah and angels from the Old Testament of the Bible. But of course, this book is about written in regard to Hermetic Kabbalah. So this is also sort of not only about Hermetic Kabbalah, but this would be inclusive of Christian Kabbalah as well. So to talk about what's in this book, it's got some great illustrations at the back of the book and the appendices. It's also got charts in here. It's just so informative. It's a really good book. It's still available, even though it was published in 2013. It's obviously still in print because it is such a good book. So it starts off by defining angels. Basically, who are the angels? And there's a good introduction from the author as well. The second chapter is all about creation, and that is very much to do with the all of the concept of Kabbalah and the idea of creation. This is where, the Jewish Kabbalah is tying in with this quite a bit. Then you have got humanity in chapter 3 or chapter 4. This is humanity in regard to the whole image of creation in relationship to humanity. Chapter 5 is the Tree of Life. And this is one of the best chapters in the book because I have a lot of books about Kabbalah, but the way that this author has detailed what the Tree of Life essentially is, this book is really unique in that way. Chapter 6 is about the world of matter, and chapter 7 goes on to the sacred geometry, and that all ties in together, really. So the world of matter, all of this is really important, and that also connects with creation itself. Chapter 8 is a really interesting chapter. It's all about time and space. Now, these are concepts that a lot of people don't really look at, the concepts of time and space in regard to Kabbalah, but it's actually quite important. It's really important to your further understanding of Kabbalah and all of the concepts. So I really like that as well. Chapter 9 is all about the angelic realms. And like I said, the detail in this book and the way it's explained, for anyone who wants to look at the connection between angels and Kabbalah, you really do need to have this book. If you really want to know about that and you would really like to work with the angel energy in regard to Kabbalah. Chapter 10, ironically, is all about the power of 10. And so the number 10 and the way that you have the 10 spheres in Kabbalah. So, you're bringing in another really important concept there. Chapter 11 is the heavenly hierarchy. Chapter 11 is the heavenly hierarchy. Chapter 12 are the 10 celestial choirs. So this is where you're really getting into quite a full understanding of the whole hierarchy of the angelic realm. Now, this is the next chapter. Chapter 13 is a great chapter all about the fallen angels. So if you want to know more about the fallen angels and what all of that is really about, this is a great chapter on the fallen angels. Then when you get to chapter 14, this is the magic part of the book. This is the magic section. And I really like this chapter 14 because it's all about, it's called Doing the Magic, and it's all about the approach to that, which is really important because, that understanding of the whole approach to this, to magic, it's quite important, and especially in regard to Hermetic Kabbalah. Chapter 15 are the 7 great archangels, and of course you have Michael the Archangel on the cover. And then chapter 16 is the actual angel magic section of the book. Then you've got all of these appendices. There's about 6 of those, about angel spells, evocation, and the illustrations are really good. I'll show you some of them in a moment. This book has a great bibliography at the back. I mean, there's even things in the bibliography that I wasn't quite familiar with. That's really saying something. After many years of studying and being a practitioner of Kabbalah. So this is why this is such a good book. As I said, there's diagrams in here. This has, I'll give you an example. This is a great diagram of the parts of the soul in regard to Kabbalah. I haven't seen a diagram quite that well done before. And it's really interesting to know that there are different kind of theories about the parts of the soul in connection to Kabbalah. Of course, this is all derived from Jewish Kabbalah. But it's really, I always find the parts of the soul in regard to Kabbalah one of the most interesting things to learn about. And not many books include it because I think it's for some authors, they just think that it's getting too detailed or too deep for the average reader. But this is what's so good about this book. I would say it's more at the intermediate level, this book. You could be a complete beginner, but you'd have to take it very slowly going through this book. I think this is more of an intermediate book, and this is why I actually have commented on how well written this book is. This is not one of your typical Llewellyn publications. It's really, really well done. So I'll just see if I can show you some more. Of course, it's got the Hebrew alphabet and all of the symbols for that. But I did want to show you that great diagram of the parts of the soul. Of course, you've got the Metatron's cube here because of the chapter on sacred geometry. That also is really, really interesting to look at. You've got it here as well. Really, really interesting. Very interesting. You've got the flower of life, which is also to do with the sacred geometry again. And the Kabbalah glyph in relation to the flower of life. It's even got a little diagram here of the space-time continuum. So it's really quite a unique book. Of course, it's got the planetary hours in here. Now, this is really good too. These are the sigils of the Olympian spirits, and you don't see this in many. I mean, you see that in a very detailed magic book, but to include this in a book about Kabbalah and angels, it's just really interesting to know. And the Olympian spirits aren't talked about very, very often either. So you've got some more sigils as well. There's pages of other sigils. And then it goes into the great bibliography. Yeah, this is a great book. I've been meaning to talk about this for a while, and I've finally gotten around to doing that. And as I said, it is still in print. It should be relatively easy to get for people who want to learn about angels in relation to Kabbalah. But as I said, this is more of an intermediate book. But a lot of people are looking for intermediate books all the time, especially in regard to Kabbalah, because otherwise there's too many beginner or introductory books. But this is more of an intermediate. But it's written so well that it's also accessible. So it's not kind of overwhelming, it's just, I mean, you would definitely have to take your time slowly through each chapter. It is a kind of a study book, really, but it's just so interesting. Okay, so that's the Kabbalah and Magic of Angels by Migene González-Wippler, published by Llewellyn, and it is such a worthwhile book. And that is why I wanted to talk about it today. And I'll put some details below the video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.